Welcome to InFocus Town Talk. We're lucky today to have Keith Hickey, who is the Town Administrator for the Town of Kingston. Keith, lots to talk about, tons to talk about since you have a town meeting coming up really soon. But before we get into that, can we just talk about the water discoloration issue in the town?
Sure, be happy to. So, as I'm sure a lot of people know, whether it be because of their own experiences or just hearing word of mouth, we've had some discoloration of water in town for a couple of reasons. I mean, first and foremost, not that it matters. When the tank was taken offline a while ago, the water department did notify everybody that there may be a risk of this. That being said, we've had a couple of issues that have caused the water to become discolored. The first being a miscommunication between softwares on the level of water in the water tank that is online. That was addressed and resolved on a weekend after nearly 6 or 7 hours of the tank being drawn down. The second was we had a fire in town. Obviously, the fire department you had to use water to put that fire out. That caused another shift in the water pressure in the town lines in some parts of town. That caused the discoloration to return. The water commissioners have met at a board of selectmen meeting and discussed it. I had a water commissioner on my weekly TV show a couple of weeks ago to try to discuss what's happening. Which, as much as we've explained what the issues are, frankly, excuse me, it's still challenging for the people who are turning their water on occasionally and finding discolored water. It's frustrating to have that issue, and certainly apologize for any inconvenience that's caused. One of the things I think that the water department mentioned during one of the meetings we've had with them, just to have people remember, is if you do have some discolored water, you run the water for about 10 minutes. If after 10 minutes that water has not improved in its color and is now running clear like it should, don't continue to run the water. Call the water department. They will have somebody come out and try to assist you, whether it be flushing a hydrant out in front of your house or something along those lines to try to address the problem. So people don't have to run their water for an hour or two trying to get that resolved.
Sure.
Please try to take advantage of reaching out to the water department and trying to have them address or help address what the problem is.
Okay, great. Let's go right into town meeting now. Your town meeting is going to be held again at the Kingston Collection on Saturday, May 22nd, starting at 9 a.m. Right now, it stands as 30 articles, I believe, on the warrant, and I always ask this of all town managers and administrators: a consent agenda. It makes it town meeting go a little bit faster, and it generally is for the articles that would kind of are not controversial and would pass anyway. What's the process for moving some of those articles into a consent agenda?
Sure, it's a great question. Thank you. Right now, our board chair, Kim Emberg, is working with the moderator right now to review the warrant to try to identify warrant articles that are on our warrant that could be considered for a consent agenda. As you mentioned, they're typically warrant articles that are not controversial, that are more housekeeping type things. And we're hoping that the board chair and the moderator can identify some of those items and try to get those through without having to deal with each one of those individually.
Sure.
Don't have a list of what those will be at this point. That information probably won't be available to right before town meeting, but they are working to try to
They're working on it.
Make town meeting more efficient.
Yep, exactly. And also, just as a housekeeping point for residents, town meeting is in the same place it was last year in the Kingston Collection. We've changed the dynamic of how it's being set up and how it actually appears in the room. We also heard the complaints about the audio issues that a lot of people felt they had, so that will be addressed also. So I think this year there will be no problems with anybody hearing everything that's being said at town meeting, which is obviously clearly what everybody needs to do. And there'll also be the closed captioning available up on a big screen Also, we're lucky that,
And one of the things, if I could,
go ahead.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead.
One of the things I just want to touch on with regards to the audio, one of the things that was raised when we met earlier this week with our audio vendor, if somebody does have an issue with their ability to hear, we would just urge them to reach out to a town staff person or PACTV staff person, if you know who they are. Just let them know you're having a problem, so we can let our sound engineer know that, and we'll try to make some type of an improvement. We will also have hearing assistance equipment, I guess if that's the right term, available to people who may have a hard time hearing.
Right.
We want to make this town meeting as effective as possible, allow everybody to participate if they can, and so I know PACTV and the town are doing everything we can to try to address some of the concerns that were raised in the past.
Absolutely. And one of the problems last year was we used boom microphones that really sat way above people's heads intentionally because we didn't want anyone to have to be near the microphones. This year we're going to use mics that are right up next to someone's mouth, so they're speaking right into it, but they will be sanitized between every single speaker, and they will be adjusted to the height of the speaker. Therefore, what is said will be clearly heard. And as anyone who attended knows, that place is an echo chamber anyway. So the more direct we can be with people speaking directly into the microphone, the better the chances are that everyone will hear it. Sean O'Brien, your town moderator, is going to do a little walkthrough video with us that he did for the first town meeting we had last year. That'll show the new setup, how the microphones will be used. So there shouldn't really be any question of what the place will look like and the experience that you will have as you attend town meeting. So aside from the 30 articles that are on there, there's a bunch of capital items too. Do you want to address any of the larger capital items that you think might stir up some conversation?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, I mean, just the sheer, frankly, the sheer amount of money that we're asking for this year in capital funds is a little over twice as much as has been requested in the past. In the past, my understanding has been that the capital planning committee has been told to estimate and fund or recommend funding for about $500,000 worth of equipment. This year, that sum has moved from 500,000 to almost 1.5 million. Some of those items are existing leases that have been approved in the past, but much of those items are a variety of capital items that are necessary, in some cases that have been deferred, and because of the very positive financial situation the town is in right now, the treasurer, the myself, and the finance director felt as though the capital planning committee should be a little bit more aggressive on how much money we spend, and all three of us support the article that's being brought forward. It addresses a number of different capital needs for the library, the streets and parks and streets, the transfer station, things of that nature. Some of the bigger ones, we're looking to replace the HVAC system at the library. That unit's a rooftop unit. The one that we have right now is very old. It is constantly breaking down, and is not sensitive to the fact that it is trying to heat and cool areas that obviously paper products or paper bound books are being stored. So it's in some cases damaging some of the books that are in place. So the library has worked on having a replacement plan for the HVAC system. The cost is just over $286,000. We're looking to use free cash to pay for that. And that system will not be impacted at a later date when the roof at the library comes due to be replaced. So it's a big ticket item. It's been discussed a couple of times, I think, in the past. Has never made it to be funded, and this year it's something that really needs to be addressed. So that's one of the larger ticketed items on the in the CIP. There's, as I mentioned, the leases. There's a $206,000 annual lease price for the ladder truck. $19,000 for a backhoe, 36,000 for a loader, and 25,000 for a command vehicle. So beyond that, the other items that might come up that are that will, I think, will raise some questions. We're looking to replace 2 trucks at Public Works, one for $250,000 and one for
Right.
$194,000. The difference being the lesser priced vehicle is a 6-wheel dump truck. The $254,000 vehicle is a 10-wheel dump truck. It's bigger than
Yeah.
we normally have. It's used at the transfer station. It's replacing a 10-wheel dump truck. It does go out when there is a snow event to plow and things of that nature. What we're hoping with a larger truck, it's going to be able to push some of the snowbanks back further than a 6-wheel truck will do. So there'll be less time needed to go back out and push the snow back with another vehicle in the future.
Sure.
We can also place this truck further away from the streets and sidewalks salt shed because they have a larger load of salt, so they don't have to come back to the salt barn as often to pick up reload with salt. So
Right. So it's more
I
efficient.
know it
Yeah.
is more efficient,
Yeah, right.
and it's a need, and I think at this point there's been some discussion. There was a lot of discussion at the Board of Selectmen level.
Yeah.
There was some discussion as well at the Capital Planning Committee level on the need for that truck. I think that the director of that department has done a great job at explaining the need and why it will benefit the department and the community overall. And we're hopeful that the residents feel the same way.
Right, exactly. Now, for all of these capital items, is this all, do you have the funding to pay for all of these without any kind of override, any kind of tax increases? Do you have the money available to do this?
We do.
Great.
So as I mentioned, the article itself is almost $1.5 million. I apologize. I'm just looking down real quick. 1.1 of that is going to be free cash, and 286,000 is coming from a capital stabilization fund that we have. So basically, for the entire article, I know there are lease payments that are involved that we just discussed. Everything will be paid for in cash.
That's
There
wonderful.
will be no bond,
That's great.
no
And
leasing.
you're lucky. A lot of
so-
towns can't say that.
Yeah, no, we're very fortunate. We've had to lease things in the past.
Yeah.
I think because of the conservative nature of the fiscal 21 budget and the fact that Kingston really wasn't hit that hard with the impact of the COVID situation. State revenues came in at what they expected it to come in at, nothing less. Rooms and meals tax, things of that nature, we certainly had a bit of a hit with, but
Yeah.
the building activity out there, the excise tax, all those types of things are strong, and it's going to allow us to try to deal with some of the items that have been deferred in the past that continue to be a need, and they unfortunately go up in price.
Yeah. Yep.
Every year. So we're hoping the community will support this warrant article. It's a lot of money, but I can assure everybody that these are all very, very needed items.
Absolutely. And the most important thing, obviously, is for people to attend town meeting being as educated as they possibly can about everything that's on the warrants. So when will the warrant actually be posted and available online for people really to be able to dig in and read?
So a couple of things that will be happening this year, Julie, that I want to make sure people are aware of. The warrant is going to be finalized. It has been finalized or will be finalized, by the Board of Selectmen next Tuesday, the 11th. On the 10th, Monday evening, the 10th, the Finance Committee is going to, I believe, finalize their recommendations on the warrant as well. So next Wednesday, the 12th, we should have the warrant posted on our town website. We also have a handout that's going to be provided to everybody at town meeting. It's lengthy. It's 60 pages. It's one document. It shows what the warrant article is for each of the 30 articles, and then provides an explanation and supporting documentation for what the article is being requested for, is to help justify and provide some background information for the people who are interested in attending town meeting, to get a better sense of what the funding request is for.
Sure.
I think it used to be provided, a warrant was provided and then some documentation in a separate document, and people had some concerns and some challenges about moving back and forth
Yeah.
between the documents. What we've done this year is put them all in one document by warrant article number. So hopefully people will be able to get themselves up to speed on what's going on,
Yep.
better understand what the needs are, and have it be easier to follow along at town meeting.
Right.
This item, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on you, Julie, or not, so I apologize. But the moderator and I will also be taping a TV show to review the warrants around the 10th or 11th of May. That TV show will then be broadcast later on that week. I would assume through the town meeting date, to provide a verbal explanation as to the justifications and needs for the different warrant articles. We're hoping that this TV show will supplement the information that is in the town meeting handout, to assist people who want to come to town meeting and want to be aware and knowledgeable of what they're going to be considering to vote on. So we're hoping that the document and the TV show will be something that people find to be helpful to follow along with.
Yeah.
And be prepared for the May.
Yep, we're going to tape that with you on the 10th, and you're absolutely right. We'll share that everywhere, and we definitely encourage people to watch it, because between the handout that you're going to give people and that, you're really going to get an awful lot of information. So you're going to go fully aware of what's going on when you go to town meeting. Just before we end today, can we talk a little bit about COVID? Now, that wasn't the first thing we talked about, which is kind of nice that we don't have to always have that be the lead. But there are some questions about the governor has loosened some restrictions, I should say. And people a little confused about, do we follow what the state's doing? Is the town the authority that people follow in the town of Kingston? How does that exactly work when it comes to how many people you can have inside and outside and gatherings and all of that?
Well, so at this point, Kingston is following the governor's recommendations. I know there are some communities out there that have continued to have stricter local restrictions than the governor is recommending. Kingston, we have not done that. The governor has started to loosen things. We actually have an agenda item on our May 11th Board of Selectmen meeting to discuss having audience members back again at the public meetings, rather than having them to have to Zoom into a meeting to participate. The anticipated date that people will begin to be able to come in person is the governor's recommended, May 29th date. So again, as you mentioned, we continue to improve in that situation. We have a large number of our residents who have been vaccinated. So while there's still a risk to catch the vaccine, I think the chance of an outbreak is continuing to drop on a daily basis with the number of people who are being vaccinated. The recreation department, the library, some of the public buildings, the senior center is going to be reopening. So we're following the governor's guidelines. There's nothing more strict in Kingston than those.
Yep.
We're working with the Board of Health, the health agent, to make sure that whatever is recommended by them is implemented, to make sure that people are as safe as possible. And I guess lastly, I just want to thank everybody for being so diligent, and not having some real significant outbreaks in town. So while it's been a pain in the neck to wear these masks and social distance and not have a normal life like we once had, hopefully this is coming closer to an end every day.
Yeah, it's working. It's definitely working. And one last thing, can I just ask you, is the Winthrop Street property, the whole controversy about that, is that going to be talked about at town meeting, or is it not on the warrant this year?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's been pushed off of the May 22nd warrant. The Community Preservation Committee is not prepared yet to make a decision on whether or not they support funding that purchase of property. So because of that, the Board of Selectmen and the the petitioners of a petitioned article to purchase the property, both have agreed to remove those articles from the warrant. So Winthrop Street will not be, or should not be, a topic of discussion on the 22nd.
Okay. Thank you, Keith Hickey, Town Administrator for the Town of Kingston, so much for
You
joining
bet.
us today. And we'll see you again soon.